Second there. Should be back in just a second.
Okay.
It's going live.
So it doesn't let me see. So if I share
Oh,
mine, does it?
right. Yeah. Whenever you share your document, you're not going to be able to see. You won't be able to see us.
I can't
You'll just be
see.
able to.
It's
Right.
not going to
You'll.
block.
Right. Yeah. We'll
Okay.
we'll be able to see your document there.
Okay. It won't block everybody out, right?
No. 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 We'll still be on here. It's just they're in little panels.
Okay. So it'd be like a quarter screen or something.
Right.
Okay.
Correct.
In
Correct.
fact,
And we're live,
if
guys.
some of it, I would just be reading, really mostly reading from it and kind of
Okay. Yeah.
telling
We'll
it,
we'll
and
go over it.
then your pictures. Okay.
All right. Cool. I want to welcome everybody to the first ever episode of Finding Finn. We got Five Leaf Blaze with us today. He's going to talk about his solve. Uh, got some interesting stuff. Like I said, this channel is built for you guys, so you guys can lay out the format. Your solve is your solve. We're just here to listen. Everybody wants to get it off their chest. We also have Street here with us. He doesn't have any video. He's just got audio. He's going to be in on some discussions that we're going to have this evening. And cool, man. We're going to get started. So say hi, everybody. Tell them hi, guys.
Hey, how's it going there? Five Leaf.
Hey, how's everyone doing?
You still with us, Street?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Nice, nice, cool. All right, cool. Well, Five Leaf, since you're the kind of the man of the hour, tell us a little bit about yourself, man. Tell us where you're from, what got you into the chase. Just kind of start her off for us, man.
I'm going to start it while plugging in speakers. Okay,
Nice.
I heard about this in, I'd say 2014, and I looked over it, kind of put it down for 2 years. Didn't think I'd ever get anywhere with it. Then it came up with a friend of mine. Two lady friend and I were talking about going to the Rockies anyway, and really just camping, just staying, getting into it. And this man, Forrest Fenn, had a thing come up, and it seemed like
Oh, kind of froze on us. You didn't unplug your internet, did you?
a great reason to try it out. And are y'all there?
Yeah, we're
Oh,
here.
oh,
Can you hear us? Kind of in and out there, bud.
hello?
Give him. Yeah, we hear you. Can you hear us
It's
now?
back, I think. I had to turn it. I had to get speakers to turn it
Oh, I got you. Yeah. Looks like you're kind of frozen there too, a little bit.
a little because I could not hear. Are you there?
Yeah, we're here.
Hello, hello.
Yeah, we're here.
Too close. Okay, now I can. Okay, okay. Yeah, this is my. I'm kind of new to this streaming. So anyway,
Right.
I saw this poem 2014, and yeah, that's good if you kind of let me know every few seconds I'm still running. But so I
Will
picked
do.
it back up in 2016 and really took a good look at it and started seeing some things to work with. And before I really had anything, we went out in, I'd say, July 2016, maybe June. Then we went back out 2 more times that year, and each time had better stuff. And it's so much as far as solve stuff. I mean, it started out very basic, and then I got kind of got it more together. Started looking. We started in like Battleship Rock, kind of a rite of passage, I guess, for a lot of people. Jemez, New Mexico, the volcano. And it just got better and better. We kept looking, and then we just kind of lived on the road. We even got stuck at a pass in Wyoming for 6 weeks in 4 feet of snow. So we've done this about 400 days. Yeah, it was pretty wild. It was pretty neat. And I'm going to see if I can just look at my notes while we talk. Kind of let me know you hear me every now and then, because I can't.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
not going to be able to see
we can hear you.
Okay. So I got to make the screen go up a little bit here. Okay, the size. So this is my interpretation of the clues in the poem written by Forrest Fenn, whose poem he said would lead to his special spot and treasure. It is not presented in the order that I found the clues. It's presented in an easier to track format, providing steps. Fenn had always wanted to produce a great painting or major work of art. It was a work of cryptography that he created, and I think you may agree. I hope.
Nice.
So what's a clue in the poem? A clue is the single easy to list answer of what could be multiple questions. A clue is not one question, it is one answer. It's my own little quote. Because I was thinking that a clue could be, I think you need to define what would be a clue. What's going to be a clue when you see it? How are you going to know? You're just looking at a picture with a mustache, or does it not have one? Do people see the same mustache? How are you going to know what a clue is, right? The first thing that jumped out at me was the first stanza, and there are consistent A's and ones forming a right angle. A and one seem plausible as a beginning point. Letters A and A down, word numbers 1 and 1 across in Gone Alone. So A equals 1. Naturally, there's an inclination with this to look at any signifiers running down and across. You're going to look for everything, making words or any associations down or across column or row. Horn is spelled across in the 4th line and down from the 20th letter twice. So I'm going to show that.
I've noticed that as well.
Yes, that just jumps out. And horn is right here. So you have letters 1 to 20 from the T or the 20 down, spells horn. And then you have hint of riches new, spelling horn. So it's definitely was a great place for me to want to start doing this. And this was when I got back into it in 2016. I didn't even have this in 2014. I put it down for 2 years, picked it back up. And
you could did you like take a pause for a whole 2 years?
2 years. Yeah, I have a lot to do. Touring, music, guitar, bass, drums, keyboard, singing, but mainly lead guitar and
I can relate to that.
Yeah. And so we always want to tour, before anything else.
That's right.
And so he said, Forrest Fenn said, get back in the box once, right? So somebody were thinking outside the box, get back in the box. And if you can see this here, this A and A, 1, 1, horn, horn, to me that looked like a box. Looked like an area I want to concentrate on. And they all seem to form in that box to the 20th letter position. And so basically, let me go back to seeing you guys and my notes. An area of focus. It seems to instruct that A equals 1 to me, like as horn is to horn. And I thought that set up the rest for a simple substitution cipher. I did not have a high degree of confidence that this was where to look with this clue, but it had to be developed nonetheless. I had to pursue this to the utmost. And, a substitution cipher, Wikipedia version says, in cryptography, a substitution cipher is a method of encrypting by which units of plain text are replaced with ciphertext according to a fixed system. And the units may be single letters, which is the most common, pairs of letters, triplets of letters, mixtures of the above, and so forth. The receiver deciphers the text by performing the inverse substitution. So Forrest Fenn's poem as recited. Hello? Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. Forrest Fenn's poem as recited in plain text, so just the straightforward, sounds like a nice walk, maybe an adventure. It can seem like a journey of one, perhaps from being child to adult or young to old. The poem can seem like many places you've been in the outdoors. In the plain text, which is the straightforward read through, it's easy to ascribe it to many places in the U.S. Rocky Mountains, which is the area of focus, according to Fenn. For purposes of solving, we need provable fixed points, as we can't turn over every log out there. The poem must contain it must contain the only 1,000-year blaze that's possible. The poem must be where to look. This is something I kind of thought early on, right? Something that stands out. What if I decipher something? That's what I was looking for first. Unless some other external system or external reference presents itself as a system, for now, what we have is the poem. And the A=1 and horned box area does, works for me. So does it unlock a cipher, a hidden message within this or some other part of the poem? How would one know to obtain such a cipher? I mean, to make it easier to count into the sentences here, I numbered the poem, bolding every fifth letter, 5, 10, 15, 20, and so on, and help placeholder. I will show that here. Just bear with me, folks. My first time ever doing this.
No worries, man.
So,
poem. Lay it out how you want to lay her out, man. That's what it's all about.
Cool. So right here, I got the poem with like every fifth letter bolded. Helps me count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 when I'm reading another number into that, right? So I'm going in a number of times into each line to try to decode something. And so the X line is interesting. So we look from the X line down. This had come up. People are starting to use this idea. I don't really mind. I probably have stopped making a big deal about it. It's bound to happen. If it is a clue, it's going to be used, Of course, I hate to say I copyrighted stuff because I'm just being careful and, with that, just to get the credit for it in case there's something to this at all sense. So we look down from the X, the 24th letter of the alphabet, and it spells these letters here. And it comes down and we get to, the middle or so, and it says GPS. That was like one of the first great things that I thought meant something. And I said, I'm going to be looking for numbers. This must mean I'm going to be looking for numbers. There's going to be coordinates. And I was confused. Is it a time variant? Is it a decimal coordinate? There are different 3 or 4 ways to punch them into, a handheld device. And what am I going to put into a device one day? Well, I was hoping to get those numbers. And the X down reveals something concrete. To me, it reveals GPS. This occurs in the middle. And where in the poem? Where would I find numbers? How? There doesn't seem to be a straightforward method, right? Since I had no numbers, I went back to the substitution method and substituting. But where to start with that? Start with the poem itself. And how about substituting the poem through itself? Okay, this I'm surprised how few people I've ever talked to that have done this. I thought everybody would have done this. It's just the first thing you'd want to do. Right? And basically, substituting the poem, right? Let's say you take as I, first three letters. An A is 1, S is number 19 in the alphabet, I is the 9th letter in the alphabet. And the corresponding letters to numbers ran in the poem equal as I, because you're
You still there? We lost your audio.
it picks out A, B, Y, picks out A,
Got you back.
B, and Y. And just simply an example. Nobody should, this is not any place to look. It's just an example. I ended up running all 24 lines of the poem through all 24 lines, right? And that's a lot. We're looking at hundreds of lines generated of
Right.
just gibberish, make any sense. Neat things I found was the word here, HEAR unlocks, NT East, ENTYEAST, like 20 without the TW. And I'm like, wow, that's weird. And it does something later in my solve. But if you count in each line, HEAR, which is 8, 5, 1, 18, to spell the alternate text. Here, as a ciphertext, ran through the plain text, which is the poem, does this right here. And most of the poem does not do things like this. The most useful thing I derived from this method was running if you've into the poem, and into the 8th line of the poem, put in below the home of Brown, if you've spelled out OBORON. That is where the elements, that's the 5th element in the periodic table of the elements. And I suspected the elements early on, right? Because you basically have a great encoding and decoding place for codex because of the table's vast array of numbers and capitalized letters plus bold text. There's most elements are a bold or capital letter next to a lowercase. And but I had no reason to look there till Boren. And now I had a reason to look at the table and the poem in this way to thoroughly scan it inside and out. This is the other system or external reference in the poem that I'd hoped to find. So far, each clue has led to another. It kind of just one goes to the other. They sort of piggyback, be it a hint, a weak clue, or a strong clue. A progression is really formed is not based on what I want to see, but what is there. That's very important. That's how I look at things. I'm only going to accept as there,
Right.
So part
now,
2, the element.
Was now how you got to this kind of solve here? Was you working on some other strategy of a solve that led you into this, or was this a straightforward thing for you?
Well, just kind of looking at the letters in the poem, that where the A's run down, A, in the first letters of each of the 4 first sentences, and then Gone Alone having 1 and 1 in them. I saw A's running down, 1's running across. To me, for some reason, it's kind of like not a perfect reason to say it's got to be A and 1 or whatever. But when it formed the box with the horns, it kind of said this is an area of focus. So for anybody trying to solve this, I guess it's going to be a matter of taking the right path. I've done a lot of paths, man. I'm leaving out a lot of stuff that was not good for what I'm doing. It did not work. There were a lot of dead ends.
Gotcha.
it's hard to give up dead ends, I think. And sometimes it's hard to keep moving. It
Right.
the Forrest Fenn did say something about it getting easier as you go. Sort of, I guess. I mean, if you're following the right path, um, it does seem to be easier. And it was kind of luck too, because I looked in the elements first, to be honest. I actually went straight to the elements when I got back to this poem in 2016. In fact, I had to find why what I found in it happened. And I did. I found it. I found what he encoded as clues to make it possible to find these things. But the A's and ones were definitely a thing to do here. And so I'm going to bring this up. It's right there. So here we go. Part 2, the elements. Lots of letters, numbers. You've got every letter except Q. There's even an X, unlike the poem, which doesn't have the X. You've got things numbering up to, into the over 100. You've got, I think in 2010, the element chart ended right about here or here, maybe up to 112. It wasn't named after that. They've named these. This is a more recent chart. So I'm going to start now. What does begin it where warm waters halt mean? So we're in the elements. What next? Like, it's got to be a beginning. It sounds like a beginning, right?
Yeah.
He even said it was a beginning. However, I found that to really be a stumping, one of those ambiguous things. He would say things for and against, it was just you're drawing back and forth. His live talk, his interviews, he would say things and he'd say they were accidental, then he'd say he didn't mean to say it. He wished he didn't. There was just a lot. And I had to not pay attention so much to what he was doing in public. I think his books helped. I think that anything he wrote, scrapbooks for sure, that could be a whole other, his scrapbooks a lot.
They seem like subtle hints to you, his scrapbooks and other writings that he had done.
I'm going to tell you one thing right now. He, on a scrapbook, gave away the most major freaking clue ever, like at the end. It was so stark. It scared me. This is last year sometime. It was freaky. I knew he wanted it over. I was like, oh my God, we got to go back out there, and it was going to be getting cold already.
Right.
So, serious inquiry has arisen as to what constitutes where warm waters halt in Forrest Fenn treasure poem. Let's remember a clue is a single, easy to list answer of what could be multiple questions. Not one question, it is one answer. One answer.
The biggest bait out there, where warm waters halt. Everybody, that's what he said was the first clue. So yeah, that's a biggie.
It's a weird way to put it, for him to say it's a first clue. It really weirded me out that he did that.
I agree with you
because I was like, man, that is not what I found first. It was a little later. I mean, I had this element stuff before I even knew or suspected warm waters halt is in there, right?
Right.
And so it gets confusing from here. It gets confusing from here. because the answers to clues have ventured outside of the poem itself in my book and into the elements. And later, the clues must also put you in a place on the ground. And so now a clue may be one answer, but with a subset, like A in the poem, B in the periodic table or other external reference, and C an on the ground meaning. It kind of splits into three places. Different things do, and we'll see that later. The first questions in the poem ask, "What am I?" Right? Follow me here, because there are other things in the poem that scream to look at elements. And I want to go down and open that. And this is getting
So did you
gritty.
You had a copy of The Thrill of the Chase? Yes. Or did you just go off the poem?
I checked it out from the library twice.
Gotcha.
That's all I was able to. We couldn't afford much. We were on the road.
That's understandable. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of folks put it, more than their heart and soul, a lot of cash into it as well. So, yeah, we feel you on that one.
I was telling people on this other chat room in the last 2 years, if I found this, I'm going to start a retreat for all the people who lost their houses or whatever. Come live in a van on this nice acreage or whatever. I'll see what I can do. That was what I was promising. I had good intention, but it didn't work out.
Nice. That's awesome.
So, as the first letter of the poem is also an element, capital A, small s, arsenic, followed by I, an element, iodine. And then there's 1 and 1 in the words Gone Alone. A, capital A is the first letter of the first 2 lines. Ones are left to right in the first row. A's are up to down in the first column. What has A's, rows, and columns? The periodic table. So I should show this somehow if I can, and go back up here. So let's see if I can get a big screen here. No? Did that get bigger?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay. So we've got, left to right is a row, and up to down is a column in the elements. And look at all the ones around hydrogen. 1, 1, 1A, 1. So you see all these ones around hydrogen, right?
Yep.
So this was exciting to find. I was like, what the hell? So all right. So the clues have branched out into meaning a lot of different things. And let me see here. All right, I'm back right there. Okay, and takes a serious the element. So back to this. I'm getting the hang of this. All right. And okay. I need to move my. Oh my God.
Do you have an accident?
My table. Okay. All right. Here we go. Usually the cat does stuff like that, but it's me today. Okay.
Sounds like Eric Johnson. You got timber over there?
I'm glad you fell over first, Five Leaf. I feel better now.
I'm like Chevy Chase, man. I'll be like, hey, boom, boom. Just trip over stuff. I've dropped the guitar. Nice. I've bumped my head, done all kinds of stuff. One time I jumped up and hit the ceiling pretty hard on a stage. That was fun. We have so in what is in the upper left corner of the elements chart? I mean, just like the A is in the poem, it's H, it's hydrogen, it's in the upper left. H is to A is to ones or to H. And what has a Roman numeral be called 1, 1, 1A, 1, hydrogen. As I is 1 in Roman numeral. H contains other numbers. Hydrogen contains 1.008, and that is the specific gravity. Or the atomic weight, which is how much a molecule weighs. You don't really have to know all that to do this. So it's just letters and numbers out of a chart, just a fixed chart that won't change for 1,000 years. That's another reason I was very interested in this table of elements. So waters contain hydrogen. Take hydrogen away, no more water. It halts. Any water's any kind, it's gone. There's just oxygen left. Water high, water HY, water high. It tells me it's hydrogen. You see that list? That's over 10 things that tell me that where warm waters halt is indeed hydrogen. 10 things, maybe 11 or 12. So everything I've discussed seems like it's only answered one clue, right? It got us all the way here just to pick another letter. And I mean, just to pick an H, could this possibly be the one clue leading to the periodic table of elements, just to pick one letter? Well, whatever it is, pick H. The capitalized leading letter in the elements for the beginning of it, the key. Wherever you see it in the poem, you are seeing a command for building the key. That's very important.
Nice.
So clue number 1 is H. So begin. So this doesn't seem like the first clue. How can it possibly put someone on the ground within a few hundred feet with an interpreted coordinate? It can. Hydrogen gives us a number 1.008. Theoretically, someone crap shooting elements could start with hydrogen and start poking around public land in the Rocky Mountains. Actually, that's kind of what I did at first. That's why we went like 40 places. I'm not sure that was the case, because 108 needs to be followed by more numbers to get in the right spot for people to get within 400 or 200 or 500 feet, like Fenn said. And I don't tend to hang upon his every spoken word from interviews. So I don't know why people got close. It stumped me a little bit, maybe accidentally. Maybe it's scenic. There's a lot of reasons people think that could be the case. So if H is where warm waters halt, how do we take it in the canyon down? What's below hydrogen? Well, a column of letters leading to the element cesium, to cease, right? So LB, so we're picking more letters. There'll be, right? LB, there'll be, which is lithium and beryllium. BE is reinforced by the phrase too far to walk, by way of sounding it out as 2-4 to walk, right? A lot of people had that 2-4-2 walk. And the beryllium in the elements is 2-4-2, row 2, element 4, column 2. If you've ever wanted to know what 2-4-2 walk is, let me tell you, you see that? 2-4-2. See that? What do you think?
I don't see your shared screen. I'm seeing your face.
Oh, see, I'm a novice at this junk. Let me see here.
No worries.
Share screen. All right.
No one's getting paid here. I think we're all good.
So right here.
All right.
Do you see it?
Okay.
So this is the row number 2.
Okay.
Element 4.
Okay.
Column 2. 2-4-2 walk.
Nice.
Now, that is pretty freaking substantial. And what I went on, like, this must be it. right? Let's keep going with that. That really freaked me out. And you know what happens? So HLB, so it goes here, it goes down, across. All right, I'm gonna get back down here. Let's get this down. So HLB, right? And then we go down to, oh, and there's even more that substantiates this. The fourth stanza also has the capitalized letters ILBJ.
Now
J
your screen's
is
not
not in the
sharing
element.
again. It's just your face again.
Oh, okay. I keep
Sometimes that stop sharing button's it's real sensitive up there. You get close to it and it'll shut her down.
Okay. So HLB.
There you go.
And then stanza. If you've been wise and found the blaze, look quickly down your quest. ILBJ, the 4 capital letters in that stanza. Well, if we look at I could also be hydrogen, right? In Roman numeral 1, HLB. J is not in the only 2 letters not in these elements are J, no letter J, no letter Q, right?
Correct.
ILB. So there's a confirmation to be with HLB plus all dozen hydrogen clues or hints. NM are the next 2 letters. So this is a harder one to find, but I'll show you why it's not so hard once we get further down. So why is it I must go? All right. Sodium, Mg, and must go magnesium. Sodium, magnesium. NM. Na is sodium, Mg is magnesium. Plus what's new and old, Mexico. And where did the chase start? New Mexico. That doesn't have quite as many clues, but HLBNM. So we're 5 letters in, and the last 3 are CRK. And I just say that's your creek. That's, to me, is pretty easy. If you're this far, you're going to say that's creek. That's your creek. And HLB, when you do the substitution cipher, like I demonstrated earlier, to count in HLB, which would be the 8th, 12th, and 2nd letters of the alphabet, you count into the poem 8, 12, 2. It spells gas in the first line. And I'm like, oh my God, does this make the word gasoline? And it did. So you take these 8 letters. Am I showing? It's showing.
Yes. Yeah, you're on.
I'm sure people on some chat rooms are sick of seeing this page. I've shared it so many times. So you
Well, our whole thought of that, this is your solve. That's why we want, there's going to be critics. We're not worried about all that. It's about you getting your solve. You've spent so much time on this thing. This is your baby. This is your baby. And it's your time. Come out. This is what I've been working on, man. So, yep. Keep going, brother.
For me, this is a big chunk of life. A few years now. So those 8 letters coming up here, HLBNMCRK. And boy, I was keeping that close to my chest. It was so hard to do. I was so excited, man, because look what it spells. It spells gasoline. It spells Mensa. All these things in there. This line down here where it says AF2, it wouldn't, the PDF wouldn't print without it screwing up. But AF2 should be over here. Anyway, so that's the poem with the decodes.
Nice.
And so I'm going to go over the unlocked words, the confirmers and clues from the keyword. If you've been wise and found the blaze, the first confirming clue, the blaze, I would call gasoline the blaze. It's just, wow, okay.
Okay.
Mensa, I'm going to call that wise, because Mensa website says, "Welcome to Mensa, the high IQ society." So you're a Mensa genius or whatever.
Right.
And from the Latin mensa, table or altar, further confirmation that you have solved with the periodic table of the elements. So mensa, meaning table in Latin, means I just figured something out from the table of elements, and this thing is telling me that I did. All right. The leftover DSR after mensa, the last three letters, I didn't take this as meaning dinosaur for a long time. I went everywhere else. I didn't have this. I think Forrest seemed frustrated. I know he always he always seems like he's talking to us, you know. He's always, hey, he's talking to me, you know. I didn't get too carried away, whatever. But I was like, man, he seems frustrated. I sent him the Mensa gas. I said, I'm going to join Mensa and get a full tank of gasoline. He was shocked. It was like horrified. He changed after that. I swear to God, it seemed to me like he changed in 2016. So, but I think DSR is the unlocked clue to shift actual area on the ground. You know, that my whole solve just went to a place. And then there's another word, misspelled garden with a Y, D-Y-N. There's a garden named place, a nearby feature on a particular U.S. Geological Survey map that is not on other maps for Dinosaur Park. There's the one map, the one type of map says garden. There's a gardener's cabin, right? And the codex spells two. Let's go back up here. So we see all the words off to the side that it spells. So two, a number, makes sense later. I'll get to that. Ronoct is something I had to look up on Google, and it's an octane rating, a confirmer for gasoline. Ronoct is a terminology for fuels. So it tells me you're in the right place, Ronoct, you know, whatever. There's more. Then it spells Dean and Dean twice, two different ways. And I think it's relevant to a scrapbook and a historic reference in an area. Dizzy Dean, I don't know.
Familiar.
Yeah. This word that looks like willow. It really sounds like willow. Is this the wood? It is on the line. You look up here on willow. It's right before you get to the line for wood. It comes out of cold right there. The cold line, 22nd line. And then it gets really strange. I mean, willow, you know, it's just weird, but it seems like the wood. But the wood might also be, like I said, these can be a poem meaning, they can be a element meaning or an on the ground meaning. In the place, the wood means something too. All right. And something that looks like you'll get it. It really sounds like you'll get it. You're well on your way, I guess. I don't know. So, so I'll just read from here a little bit. I hope the comments are favorable. Not even, I guess like nobody's looking. I don't care. I hope they're good.
No, I wouldn't worry about the comments. You know, haters are going to hate, as they say. Like I said, you know, this is your solve, your chance to get it out. You know, go ahead, Street. Go ahead and chime in.
There's more people than just us doing this. Oh, this is open and live.
yeah, we're live. He's like, oh no,
and we have.
I might rethink this.
We're live. Oh shit! Oh, no, I'm kidding. All right. So I had this much in war. I had this by mid 2016. I had no idea what to do then. We just set off for parts unknown. My lady and I left everything in the city and bummed out. Month to month, dollar to dollar, busking with the guitar, camping 400 days in the Rocky Mountains, on and off. Three trips out of Texas where we were staying, and eventually just moved out to New Mexico. But
nice. He ended up in New Mexico.
Ford van, too many miles. Yeah, old Ford van, too many miles on it. I mean, why? You know, to check every number in the elements that could make a coordinate in the search area. But of course, I mean,
nice.
What else?
Right.
You know, it was crazy. It was great. We are now off grid in mountainous New Mexico, and that is a blessing.
That's awesome,
man.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Took a little work. I'm doing a lot of work out here. And
yeah, that's super awesome.
So
what about how about any like any trips that you've taken, like when you've been out in the woods or turning over logs or whatever? Did you find anything cool? Any kind of symbols? Any arrowheads or anything like that?
I found giant artifacts. I left them. I know where they are, but they are pre-Clovis. They are pre-Clovis. They look like they were made by giants. It looked like they were just struck hard a few times in cold weather. Big sparks made off of them to make a fire. Giant things, oversized Viking, I don't know what, Solutrean, who knows, but Clovis, definitely North American, early Paleo Indian stuff.
Nice.
We found a lot of great things, old license plates. And what? You remember anything offhand? So many things, man. We ran into a bear one time. It climbed up on the van.
I've got a few bear stories myself.
Yeah, I held a Pomeranian up to the windshield. She started barking, and he fell over backwards and took off running. Man, the bear. It was wild. Well, that and the horn honking, I guess, did it. But
nice.
And starting the van for heat, which we had to do a lot because it was cold. It was 4 feet of snow in Wyoming in freaking June when we were stuck into July. Even open a road, I couldn't even check for 6 weeks. We had to stay there, which is okay. I'm not complaining. I don't want to sound. I'm just being funny, But we had to keep going back and forth. Lovell, Wyoming, back up to the Bighorns. We would go twice a week. So we were just really taking it in. It was something. I walked 18 miles one day. Most days were about 8 miles, and that's just to check everything, see what's around. And we had to wait for snow to melt, a road to open. Gosh, I'll probably think of some more things here in a minute. But the solve. Cool. So I know people are going to say that Forrest said some searchers overrate the complexity. Let me do his voice. Some searchers overrate the complexity of the search. I can't do it. No, I'm kidding. Knowing about head pressures, foot pounds, 8 feet, Bible verses, Latin, cubic inches, icons, fonts, charts, graphs, formulas, curved lines, magnetic variation, codes, depth meters, riddles, drones, or ciphers will not assist anyone to the treasure location, although those things have been offered as positive solutions. Excellent research materials and the thrill of the chase, Google Earth, and or a good map. F. And that's his quote.
That's great.
What I have to say to that
was great.
That sounded like Jack Nicholson.
You like my Forrest Fenn impression? No, I'm kidding. He does that George W. kind of laugh sometimes. He did that. Yeah. Anyway, that is, I think, one of his greatest ambiguous statements, right? And he made some ambiguous statements. I mean, they could mean the plus or the minus or the entire gambit of what you're looking at in your solve. He would just pull you back and forth. You wouldn't know, he would just, so it his statement lists a few things you can indeed use: Latin, charts, and ciphers. But he surrounds those with useless things, right? There's like, 20 things in that. 3 of them are good. And you don't need to know them to offer them as in a positive solution, right? You don't need to be fluent in Latin or be a chemist with a PhD or anything, or know all about ciphers to search, solve, and use these as systems and methods. I want to point that out. It's very important. What else I think is important is he says positive solution. To me, they've been offered as positive solutions. Actually sounds like a good thing. That sounds like a good thing to me, you know.
Nice.
So that's my little, I guess, come back to all the times I've heard people say that quote to me. There's no ciphers. Well, actually, there's Latin, charts, and ciphers. So, and we'll call the table of elements a chart. It is called the chart in college. All right.
Right.
So
and
there are other
right now we don't know. There is a finder out there. I'll put that in quotation marks. And we don't know. Nobody knows right now what the true solve is. It could literally be anything. It could be anything.
It could
so
be.
It'd be foolish to discount somebody. In my eyes,
Absolutely.
It could be anything. It may sound crazy to us. We can't understand it, or for whatever reason. But we don't know at this point. We don't know what the correct solve is. That's just 100%.
I'm I can't be sure. He didn't leave us even with a way to be sure that we got the correct solve, or anybody did.
Correct.
It's kind of like the ambiguity lives on. He gets to there are some things here. I think there's a little fame seeking. There are some things he was setting up. He wanted to be important. And I think he took a lot of our time and attention, for sure. We're going to be trying to figure this out. We're going to keep going. And I don't know if it's going to be years or months or what for people. I only hope mine seems to be the one. I don't know,
Right.
So we're going to presume, since it made so much sense, we have, I just need to go back to this before I start the next little part here.
Okay.
And
do you mind if I say something real quick?
Go for it.
What you're doing with your reveal, it's like giving birth, man. You're umbilically attached to this solve, this thought.
It's like our children.
And we all attack. If you look at the lid of indulgence, it's a castle with ladders. They're putting the castle to siege. It's like we all attack the poem differently. So no one should feel uncomfortable giving their true thoughts on it and their ideas. It doesn't make it right, wrong. There's nothing wrong releasing that, man, and believing in it. There's nothing wrong at all. That's all I got to say.
Exactly.
100%, man. Yep. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah. This where did it go? Okay. Oh, what the? So if I could put this on the screen, and it's gonna just to recap real quick. Oh, and the lid of that chest looks like an H. The 2 ladders and the thing, or spires, right? There's 2 spires and something going across. Looks like an H. I found that out a lot later. Somebody else said that. I'm like, oh my God. There's just been so many things that kind of come to my solve and make me think. So, back to recap, the 10 or more reasons I think warm water salt is hydrogen. And then Just take a look there. Then there's the key. I mean, then there's the really freaky part there, right? I mean, I've seen people spell things. I heard of the Briggs cipher method. Somebody else had some great anagrams. I asked him, what made you anagram? Do you have a trail leading to that? And I didn't really catch that there was a trail to what their anagram was. So we get down. So all these things, it's just a blur, you know, but we get down to the place, right? So I want to just talk on that for a minute. There are other things of interest in the poem, right? In the FTTJ, from there it's no place. So the FTTJ spelled out in capital letters at the beginning of the third stanza. The word title and the word cold are serious focus points too. Something needs to be done with such standout things like these in the poem. Let's see if they help narrow down the place and refine the area that I have, which was Dinosaur National Monument. So part 4, the place. To cease in the elements was to cesium, because that's where my blaze ran down to in the elements, to the bottom point of the blaze. And on the ground, the clue for on the ground clue for 2 C's could be 2 C's, 2 letter C's. Could be canyons in Colorado, right? And here we go to external reference for the FTTJ. So in my numbering method, FTTJ would be 6, 20, 20, 10, right? It makes a date. It sounds like, you know, the capitalized letters of the third stanza look like a date. Would be 6, 20, 20, 10? Is that the date he hid the treasure? We can tie this to oars, paddles, and mercury, which is in the elements, and so much more. So I Googled June 20, Dinosaur National Park. The search results eventually returned page 170 of the book, The Exploration of the Colorado River and Its Canyons by John Wesley Powell, 1869. The entry reads, June 20. This morning, 2 of the men take me up the Yampa River for a short distance, and I go out to climb. Having reached the top of the canyon, I walk over long stretches of naked sandstone, crossing gulches now and then, and by noon reach the summit of Mount Dawes, which is now Zenobia Peak. I had to find all this out, that names have changed and things there. From this point, I can look away to the north and see in the dim distance the Sweetwater and Wind River Mountains more than 100 miles away. To the northwest, the Wasatch Mountains are in view, and the peaks of the Uinta to the east, or Uinta, as they say in Utah about that mountain range. To the east, I could see the western slopes of the Rocky Mountains more than 150 miles distant. The air is singularly clear today. Mountains and buttes stand in sharp outline. Valleys stretch out in perspective, and I can look down into the deep canyon gorges and see gleaming waters. Descending, I cross a ridge near the brink of the Canyon of Lador, the highest point of which is nearly as high as the last mentioned mountain. Late in the afternoon, I stand on this elevated point and discover a monument that has evidently been built by human hands. A few plants are growing in the joints between the rocks, and all are lichened over to a greater or less extent, giving evidence that the pile was built long ago. This line of peaks, the eastern extension of the Uinta Mountains, has received the name of Sierra Escalante in honor of the Spanish priests who traveled in this region of country nearly a century ago. Perchance the Reverend Father built this monument. Now I return to the river to discharge my gun as a signal for the boat to come and take me down to camp. While we have been in the park, the men have succeeded in catching a number of fish, and we have an abundant supply. This is a delightful addition to our menu.
Nice. So
there's a lot in that. There's a lot going on in there. I'm not going to go into all of it, but there's a lot going on. So, other things in this book are quite interesting. The oars that are broken and lost on the journey, because they did this rowing, these oversized wooden rowboats down the Colorado River and its canyons and other places, and up the Yampa a short distance and all this. On page 124, an oar is broken on one of the boats. Okay. Then in page 192, it says, in doing so, we break an oar and then lose another, both belonging to the Emma Dean, Dean, the boat that went spinning in the ordeal. So I guess they got dizzy. Dizzy Dean. It's right there. That book, I recommend it. Page 29 says a tube has to be filled with mercury. So Mercury's letters and the elements are Hg, as I have gone. And the whole spread of the poem into elements is a little more time consuming. I left it out, but it can be done. Then there's a lot of pairs of elements that come up. I never really got that. There's these weird pairs of things in the poem. So title to the gold. Feel me? Title to the gold. It indeed appears that this book's title gets you to the gold, right? Colorado Canyons. You guys there?
Yeah, we're here.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
You're fine.
So further Googling and research for FTTJ 2010 brings me to the 2010 Canyon of Lador South Topo map in Browns Park. This is a USGS topographical map called Canyon of Lador South, the 2010 edition. I'm going to call it a good map. Canyon of Lador. Canyon of Lador. That must be the cold. COLD. The cold. What an effort it was for Powell and the expedition to navigate those canyons, according to entries in it. Their effort was worth the Canyon of Lador, the cold. So on this map, there's a typo. Warm Springs Cliff is accidentally spelled Warms Spring Cliff. The S is turned around. And this is also where warm waters halt. Not the hydrogen warm waters halt, but the on the ground one. This typo, how the S's are rearranged, for me justifies the phrase warm waters halt. It's almost like if you made a typo of warm waters halt, it would be warm water halts, but it would be more like warms water halt, you know? So it's Warm Springs Cliff, Warms Spring Cliff. I'll show that here in a minute. This typographical error happens to only be on the 2010 edition map. Out of all the maps for that quad taken, I mean, they go back to the 50s or earlier, all the way up to now. The 2010 has the misspelling. And you know, a lot of times something missing or misspelled or whatever, I think Forrest Fenn was into that. I don't know. It seems to me to be something like that. So nearby to this cliff is Gardner's cabin, the suspected home of Brown, on the ground clue, and a nice reference to fit garden, Gardner's cabin. So the garden in my decryption seems to fit. And I need to take about a minute break, and I am really sorry, but nature calls. Do you see this screen?
Yes.
Hello?
Under canopy.
Okay, go ahead. Read that. I'm gonna go. I'll be right back. I hate doing this. I'm so sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
And we're live.
And we're live. Okay, Street.
Yes, sir.
Your thoughts, comments?
I'll reiterate, man, we all attack this at our own pace, at our own. The only question I ever ask or want to know from anybody is, what was your initial thought that drew you to the pattern, like 5 leaf? What what were you thinking? Where were you at in your mind when you said, I'm going to look for this pattern A and one and
Right.
how it led? That's where I'm interested. What was your thoughts when you turned that corner and devoted everything all in?
Right. Yeah. I kind of hit on that earlier. Hey, was this something you went straight forward to at the beginning, or is it something you kind of worked yourself into? Yeah, those things are interesting to me.
Yeah.
And I've always got some questions at the end of the deal that we can all discuss as well.
Well, it's
Some
one of
little
those,
topics.
was it an epiphany where, like, boom, you saw the whole thing, but it took you months to realize
Right.
output? Or was it this step led me to this, and then once I hit
Right.
that's where I'm interested in.
Right. 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 And we all have those stories. I have them myself. And just like he was talking about some of the things that he went and seen on his adventures, I've got those stories with my family. Uh, so many things we've stumbled across, and some of this history stuff that he's reading, and I think we all kind of got into that. I mean, that's what led me down, a certain path. And I think, yeah, I think he'll feel the same way. I think all searchers are kind of that way. Something kind of
Exactly.
led us
Well, these are things we have
down this certain little path.
We've spent years doing this. We're so it's ingrained into us. This is our child.
Ingrained.
But yet, when we had introduced the child to the public, they don't know it, so they're getting used to it for the first time. We've known it for 5 years.
Correct.
We are rewired.
Right. Right. Yeah,
Exactly.
and people, they don't agree, so they're the first ones to, oh man, talk shit more or less. And what's your solve? Hey, what's your baby? Because these are our solves are our children. We've built them up, we've grown them. These so close. I'd go to bed every night. Thumbing through clues, reading articles, or whatever I was working on my solve. That was the first thing or the last thing I done before I went to bed every night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we get rewired, from this and wired. And,
Right.
It's it changes.
It's been a wild trip,
thinking
wasn't it? Wild trip.
Yes, it's hard to pull out of it a little bit. It's hard to pull back and away, especially with no resolution at the end. It takes, some sort of,
Right.
we're going to have, this finder thing in Wyoming. I don't think so.
It smells foul, don't it? Smells very foul. And, there's a lot of people, they're okay with the story that came out, and, that's fine for them. But, I would like to know a solve. Not so much not so much the finder. I don't care about. I just want to know that solve. Did I have one clue? Did I have all 9 clues? How close were we? I think that's what we all want, really.
What I was
I
hoping
think.
to see.
Go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
What I was hoping to see everybody start borrowing a clue or two. So, like, is there any clue that's so good that people just have to use it? They got to try to use it. That was the first sign I was looking for in what I would think would be a consensus of solve. So people, they're not going to work together. They're not going to agree.
You can get a few clicks together, but you can't get everybody together. Just not going to happen.
They're never going to agree. But what you can do is you can look for the similar things people use. And it's gotten kind of haywire lately. And I've seen the X used 2 other times, my X line thing. And I'm sure people independently found this clue on their own. I don't know. But there's some people I can tell they saw my stuff and used it. And they even wrote out the page, nearly like copied it and used it. So
oh wow.
To me, that X clue now seems to be gaining traction as a known clue. And I had asked just a month ago, what is a known clue? What do people have? Something we can all start to know. Would even half of us or a quarter of us? I'd settle for 10% of people. 1 out of 10 people knowing what a clue is might start to make it look pretty good. It might get traction. And if we could get
Right.
1, 2, 3, 4 clues in and start to know, but I think people get too hung up on other things Forrest Fenn said, and like what the first clue should be, or where it is in the poem, or where to begin, or all these other things that could either be helpful or hindering,
Correct.
ambiguous. They get hung up on to where they don't know a clue when they see it. But if somebody needs, so the X creates the letters GPS, and now we have people who want to put a solve in places, and they want that. And everybody asked them, I don't want to mention names, but some people wanted to put it in Yellowstone and whatever. And I just feel like they were putting it there. I don't know about the source, whatever. Everybody, I there's another guy named Eric. I told him, watch out for sources, man. They'll take you down. But he had a recent thing from a source, about something like this guy knew Fenn and found it. But so anyway, they start to borrow. So people started asking these searchers, this team in Yellowstone with this solve with numbers, what made you want to find GPS? And boy, I know they need that X clue. I know they need it. I know they're being cool and not taking that. That's cool. But I know they need it because it's right there. It tells you to take GPS. I don't know of a better one in the poem. I just went in under presumption. You've got to pick coordinates. How are you going to know? What are you going to do? Walk to the face in the rock over there, or is that tree with a blaze going to be there in 1,000 years? Heck, I've seen trees not be there in 10 years, man. So, or blazes or whatever get
Hey,
covered up.
Five Leaf,
People,
Street had a good question
yeah.
for you. I'm gonna let him kind of ask that to you. I hit on a little bit, but he's got a good little question for you about how this
Okay.
all came to be. Go ahead, Street.
Hey, when you first started taking the first steps on looking for that pattern, the one, and then following that path, where were you at in your
Right.
mind? What was your thoughts when that moment it was like, oh, I see it right here, and then you followed it from there. What was going on at
Like
that point?
right before it.
Right before you started looking
first,
for that pattern.
I'm going to be honest, man. The first thing I did was I presumed that, you mean that decryption thing? I presume that it's in the elements, man. I don't know why. It's weird. It's like psychic. I don't know. But I said, let me start numbering the elements 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, all the way into the poem after I did the poem through itself. And I saw it spelled gas. It's spelled GAS, man. And what's neat about the elements too is that like gallium, arsenic, and selenium are all in a row. And I'm trying to do this from memory, but the capital letters of those spell GAS too. So there's other confirmers in that line. And so I just started numbering it. It was it's systemic, just a systemic approach of knocking out letters, numbers, every single thing that the poem could do. I knew the poem, to me, I spent a lot of time in nature, man. I've been in the mountains, all weather. I don't think it's possible to have a trail remain perfectly covered up or perfectly open or anything. There is no way. You know how you could keep a blaze for 1,000 years, like etched aluminum or glass that doesn't break? I mean, I'm a scientist too. I mean, so if you want to keep something around, you etch it into metal that won't rust. You put it in gemstones. I don't know, something that won't screw up, because you're dealing with wood like regular rocks. You're not, and humans, destroying stuff. And I've even seen humans take stuff they liked, and stuff that was a marker that I knew had been a marker for a long time was gone or covered up, or the rock pile was rebuilt. I mean, a lot of people see these things, and I know how common they are. A stack of rocks, it's so common for a hiker. I'm a hiker, and these things, I said, it has to be in the poem, man. The poem has to have the thing that lasts forever, because the words of the poem will never change. The letters are always going to be arranged the same. I mean, it's always going to be a fixed system, a grid right there of left to right, up to down, and things like that. And when I found the element part, it was another fixed system of numbers and letters that was like, nothing's going to change in here. This is how you encode something. This is how you do it. And I said, this has to be it. I'm not going to follow any other. I'm not going to go look for Jim Morrison in a tree or nothing, dude. I'm not going to go look for like biblical stuff or anything, because it's all in your mind, and it's all kind of, you're making up what you see, and everybody interprets it differently. Hell, that's why people can't agree to stuff ever, and on solves anyway, or politics or whatever for that matter. But
right.
yeah, man,
Right.
that's my epiphany.
Yeah.
My moment was the plausibility of things, and how to structure plausibility, how to build from something that'll remain, and something that you can keep building from. It'll keep piggybacking. You don't want to, when you find one clue and go to the next, you don't want to keep opening up more possibilities. You want to narrow down. When you're on clue 1, 2, 3, you're going to 9, you want your options to get less. Your options have to be less as you go. They can't open up and expand, because then you're looking at everything. Now, I'm going to be different about that and say that you have to be a believer in everything. You got to believe. I believe in everything, right? And believing in everything makes you have to think about a lot of shit. You have to constantly think about too much stuff. And so narrowing down gives me great comfort, in how to do this. And so I'm at near the end of this. The Under a Canopy of Stars thing to me is really neat, because he said those 5 words, it was found under a canopy of stars. And I don't know about the rest, forested vegetation. A lot of the rest of it was misleading to me, but why under a canopy of stars? That's not very common. People tried to assure me that's a common thing all worldwide. But I'm like, well, Google it. Rocky Mountains, Google under canopy of stars in Colorado, or it's those 5 words. It is in the National Park Service website blurb for the camping section of Dinosaur National Monument. Enjoy the crackling of a campfire and sleep under a canopy of stars, Dinosaur National Monument, 6 different campgrounds located, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, son of a bitch, somebody found it in Dinosaur. I was the most sure I ever was. Somebody found it there. I'm like, shit, I couldn't believe it. It was the day it opened from COVID. It was the first day the park opened.
Yeah.
It's hard to get into that park, man, on the first day, like from where you are, and know it's going to open and all that. How is that timed? I don't get that. But there's no better Googleable fit in the Rocky Mountains proper or entire search area to the phrase under a canopy of stars than in Dinosaur National Monument. And this is the last thing I want to show right here. And this is the 2010 Canyon of Lador South Topo map, Dinosaur Browns. Echo Park Campground in the upper left of the map below. Real nice place, beautiful sandstone walls. I mean, a few cottonwoods, kind of open, grassy. The river, it just right down near the split of the rivers. And God, it was beautiful. It's wonderful there. This
Yeah,
place
beautiful
here,
country. I've been up there.
oh man, wonderful. Colorado doesn't have as much trees in a lot of places as people would think, unless you get into really foresty areas, but most of it is
Right.
kind of rocky, kind of open and grassy and clusters of trees and things. So this place on the river, Warms, misspelled, Spring Cliff. I just thought that was a neat thing. And then, you get into this canyon of Lodore, the cold. It has to be the cold. I never found any more sense out of the cold. But anyway, the code, the other thing, and that is what I got on that for now. I have more, but I gotta tie some ends on this and whatever. And the key word, and I would love to see a keyword. I don't care who solves this, man. It doesn't matter to me whether it's mine or not. I would like to see something make even more sense than this. I know it seems confusing. I've had people tell me, I am lost. I'm like, I am so sorry.
Well, we appreciate you coming out and discussing it. Like I said earlier, you're the first one through the wall, first one to get bloody, and I'm going to reiterate out there, this is your soul. This is a piece of your life that you've been working on, and I mean, of course, there's going to be critics, but let them think whatever. This is your solve. We're glad you came out here and talked about it, because like I said, we don't know. I don't know. Nobody knows right now. Nobody knows what the correct solve is. Something may sound crazy, but that's what it could be. That's what could be the solve. So I appreciate you coming on here, and that's why I made this channel right
I
here.
appreciate being asked to do this.
Yeah,
I really do.
No worries, man.
I've been in front of camera in a while. I've been out in the woods, man.
Gets a little nerve wracking, huh? No, it's cool.
Yeah.
And I mean, you seem like a cool guy. Real intelligent. And, but no, man, we appreciate it. We appreciate it and all the good discussions. And I got a couple questions for both of you boys here lined up. kind of do this at the end of every show. Of course, we don't have to end it just yet. Whatever y'all feel like. But let's see.
I'm good for a while.
All right. How did you first hear about the treasure chest being found after the end, the day it was announced? Where was you at? How'd you hear about it when it was announced found?
I don't know. Street, you want to answer that one?
I can't honestly. I know it was daytime. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I think I got it. I got an email saying something about K-Pro and Cal went live or something.
Gotcha.
But then when the pictures finally came out, what was it, like 10 days later when he showed the pictures of the chest and the bracelet? I think I was on Dave Calvy's Zoom. There was a bunch of us in there when they came out.
Right. That is my next question. What are you guys' thoughts on the photos that were released? Touchy subject.
I think I'll grab that one real quick first. I think there's too many people trying to be Finder, or that was the inclination, and too many people like K-Pro wanting to keep the business going, keep the talk going. I think it's kind of cool to want to do that. Even if she wants to be the center of things, I think it's cool because people need something to do. I don't think they're ready to stop. So she's got the right idea. But I think that the pictures, I think that the sources and things like that are BS. And they come from I don't know what it's all about. Whoever this secret finder, it's been 5 months, and the time is past on that, on a serious, like they should have shot within a month or two on production on something like that.
Gotcha.
The pictures though, I don't know. I've seen people say it was photoshopped. I don't really know on that, so I'm going to stay out of the picture thing.
Finn's death. Your thoughts on that? Cancer, sleeping pills. What do you think happened there?
Man, that's a possibility. It's plausible. There's reason. Why would he be so sad? I don't get whether he had Alzheimer's or something terminal, or he just wanted to go out like his dad did, or something. I don't know. Maybe he faked his death, which is hard to believe for 90. Why not? I don't know, but I don't really know. I've got some explosive thoughts on things like this late at night sometimes.
Right.
But
well, I mean, it is such just a weird ending to this. Most of us have spent a decade on it, some less, but we've devoted a lot of time into this, and we thought there'd be some kind of end to this. Hey, it was found. Here's where it was found at. Here's the clues. Here's what the meaning meant. In this interview here. Stuff like that. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
I'd like to answer that picture, if you don't mind. If Forrest released the pictures, and it's obvious they were photoshopped, my only question is, what was the message he was sending out? He said it's found, here's the bracelet. What was the message? If it was all photoshopped and faked, then he would get the message. Which drives me back to, once they find it, it's out of my hands. They can do with it as they wish. So up until the point it was found, it was us individual as a collective community against Forrest. And then once it was announced it was found, the treasure was found, you would have thought it would have been the community against the finder, right? For answers. Right. But it hasn't. Right. It turned inward to the community at the community. I find that intriguing.
Led by people who we don't know the leading groups of people who staged this. One thing I pointed out, so the pictures, what is the purpose of all that? Where do they come from? So the pictures came from some source or group. Then later pictures came out from a source or group. So like Dal had pictures first, right? Or Dale on his thing. And then somebody else released some, or maybe that Medium Finder article released something.
Dal's site had them first released on the site. And then, the Medium article, when the Finder came out with the story, he had, I think, one or two additional photos that were, in the same contrast.
There's something called a legacy, too. I've seen this word almost like as if Forrest himself set it into motion. People to maybe uphold and look after things. It seemed to me like there was a legacy before the chest was ever found, people who would kind of steer the crowd away from the negative or whatever. And it seemed to me like this whole thing just intensified as the chase ended. And then after he died, I don't know what's going on. It's like anarchy. It's just a leaderless revolt, I don't know. So
Well, instead of an explosion, we're witnessing an implosion.
Implosion.
Which
True.
it doesn't, logically, it should have went from us against Forrest to us against battling the Finder. That would be the logical steps. But instead it imploded. Why?
Why indeed? Why indeed?
Because Finder doesn't exist.
That is a possibility. I mean, there's a lot of people that they feel, hey, this is a Finder. That's the end for them. That's great for them. And like I said, I'm not so much worried about the Finder as much as that solve. I feel Finn challenged the world. He put out his book, said, "Find my treasure," a match of wits, as it would be. And we get to the end of it, and it's okay. Everybody go home. No answers, no nothing. And like I said, I'd like to know, did I have at least one clue? I just want to know if I had one clue.
That reminds me of The Price is Right. Is at least one number right? At least two. You win a car.
No consolation prize.
It's like ding, ding, ding. I had 6 clues. Wow.
6 clues.
Yeah.
Be like the Powerball, right? I had 6 clues. I should get 100,000 out of it.
Oh man. Yeah, Powerball and Mega Mill. Super
I'm just
money.
joking, but it has been a wild ride. I had a great time. I had a great adventure out there, and I'm sure we all have. But we're all looking for the answers now. That's what it boils down to. Just looking for the answers. And and I invite anybody. Come on out. You guys bring your solves out. Don't be shy. I know it's tough. 5 Leaf, I know you was a little nervous throwing it out there, and like I say, man, we appreciate it. Man, we appreciate it.
I left out, I don't know a percentage, but I would say 20%.
Well, we'll have you back on. We got some good shows coming up. We got Dan and Laura of Storage Wars coming on next week. By the way, they've been a little bit involved. They weren't so much looking, but they've kept up with the chase, and so they're going to come on and discuss some things. We're going to have some pretty cool guests on here, so we're going to make a go out of it. Maybe try to find some answers down the road.
This is really a great launch, and I mean, what you got them, I think I'm going to be the least famous person ever on this thing, man.
We'll all feel that way. I always said, because I was an Nashville recording artist, but I'm a D celebrity now. I'm the D-list celebrity when I roll into Nashville. But yeah, it's been a wild ride.
Photo bomber myself as a musician, a few little things here and there, but still going to put out a guitar video here, a little tribute to Eddie Van Halen. I like to play some lead.
Nice.
Probably put that up on a couple of places. So.
Nice. Medium article.
Go ahead, Steve. I've had an enjoyable, informative, relaxing evening, and man, it's a nice platform you got going, Casey.
Hey,
nice hearing what
man.
you had to say too, Five Leaf.
Yeah, no, we appreciate both of you guys, man, for kicking this thing off, and we'll have you guys back on here, and we'll have some more discussions. I mean, I'm sure it ain't the end yet, right? Hopefully not. I don't think. I think there's a lot of us that feel that way. There's some answers out there somewhere.
But I think we can all agree, good, bad, or ugly, we all took something away from the thrill of the chase.
Yeah, we did. Yep, that was a good thought. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and cut it for tonight. Appreciate all you guys tuning in. We're going to have some more shows coming up every Thursday. Got a good one coming up next week. We're going to invite both these guys back. So we'll catch you next time. And I'd like to thank both of you guys once again. Thanks for coming out and, going through the wall with me. Cool. All right, guys. We'll catch you next time.
Thanks. Take it easy.
Take care.